What's up, everybody? Bootsy Greenwood here, and these glasses are fake. Yeah, that's right. Poser alert. Don't listen to what people have to say. Some people just know how to look smart, and, that's impressive enough. Right now, I guess I could be watching One World Together at home, but I'm not. I'm tired of Netflix, and I hope you are too, and that includes Hulu. I want to talk about maybe logic. I'm going to talk a little bit about Robert Anton Wilson today because he is just such a brilliant mind, and I think we find ourselves in some particularly interesting circumstances right now. And I think his work is very helpful to sort of understand what's going on around us. One of the things that Robert Anton Wilson is famous for is maybe logic. Okay, maybe logic. That doesn't make any sense. Well, Aristotelian logic and logic that's taught in colleges and universities is very, I don't know, I guess I would say binary, for lack of a better way to say it. It's if this, then that. If not this, then that. We used to have to do these truth trees when I was in philosophy, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. It was convoluted and confusing, and I think that Robert Anton Wilson's idea of maybe logic is far, 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 far better. First and foremost, because it's not deterministic, right? We're saying maybe. We're not saying definitely, okay? And this is another one of his really, really great contributions, in my opinion, is the use of language, okay? So as we know in quantum physics, every reality exists in the space of variations, or whatever you want to call it. So let's call this, this would be a truth tree, all right, or the beginnings of one, okay? But what we know first and foremost is that nothing is certain, nothing. But this is either or, right? This is duality. It has to be this or that. It can't be part true, it can't be. But as we know in, transurfing says you can never actually access pure truth. You can only get so close to it. And as we also know, that we also have a bunch of possibilities on either side of this, okay? And places in the middle. Now this is really, really interesting, right? Right now, we live in a very either-or type of world, at least in the United States. You're either this or you're that. And if you're not this, then you must be that. But that's not true, is it? Like, each and every one of us, we have our own belief systems, okay? We have our own view of the world. All right, and I'm going to get into this in just a second, because this is the second part that makes Robert Anton Wilson's work so neat. But for us to assume that because someone identifies a certain way or has a certain belief, that makes them this or that is incorrect. It's presumptuous, and it's very rude, okay? Because in truth, maybe, right? But maybe it also falls along this scale. Nothing is certain, okay? Absolutely nothing. Okay. So, our view of the world is what Robert Anton Wilson calls a reality tunnel. Okay? I'll also liken this a bit to slides, right? It is a view of the world, okay? And it is our belief system, or BS. Okay? As we know, the mark of an educated mind is to be able to entertain two thoughts at the same time, and not, and not believe really one or the other of them, but understand them both, right? That's the mark of an educated mind. I can't remember who said that. Super famous quote. Well, Robert Anton Wilson said, "Funk that, dude. No. What if you could hold many thoughts or many ideas in your mind simultaneously? What would happen then?" And what we see in quantum physics is that with these multiple possibilities, these multiple realities that do exist in infinity or the dream space or whatever, any of those already actually exist. They're already technically real, right? Real in the metaphysical. So if we can understand many different ideas or many different, possibilities at the same time, well, that opens us up and it makes our reality tunnel a little bit more large, right? So let's say this is everything, this inside this circle. We can never get it this big, but the more ideas that we can, accept into our minds and at least give plausibility for, the bigger we're going to be able to see, the wider our reality tunnel is, the more information we're going to be able to take in, and the more we're going to understand duality, because duality is a paradox. Now, this is something that someone said. There was a really long comment once, maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I tried to itemize and just say, hey, just so you know, I'm not affiliated with Transurfing, but I understand your points. You're saying that this book is long and complicated and it contradicts itself. Yep. Read a book that doesn't contradict itself, and I'll be really surprised. I don't think that one exists, because the world that we live in is dual, right? It's dual in nature. And so that's why we talk about the mirror world. That's why we talk about polarity and pushing, right? And that is that Aristotelian logic, right? Say we have a pendulum here that separates 1 from 2, and it swings back and forth, right? And here's the line. And if you believe X, then you're at 2. And if you believe Y, you're a 1, okay? But we know this is not true. It's bullshit. This does not in any way show the variety and differentiation in people's thoughts, views, and the way they perceive their world. Now, then Robert Anton Wilson goes into an idea about language. Okay? And this is what opens it up. And it's such a good point. A lot of times we are very deterministic and we say the word is a lot. That's what is happening. Well, maybe it is, right? Maybe. Because nothing is certain and everything exists, then maybe it is happening. I mean, yes, it is. But also, nothing's certain, nothing's determined. Maybe it is. So, if we were to rephrase the way we speak, Robert Anton Wilson thinks that the level of consciousness of human beings would astronomically, exponentially rise, okay? And thus, our reality tunnels will get even bigger. And we'll be able to perceive more, understand different ideas and thoughts, and then start to connect those dots together and see a bigger, broader picture of the world. We'd also be less polarized and less polarizing, because I don't come in and say, Beethoven is better than Mozart. I say, to me, I enjoy Beethoven better than Mozart, okay? And then you are free to have your opinion that you enjoy Mozart better than Beethoven, and there's no animosity, there's no anger, there's no yelling, back and forth. There's just this openness and understanding of what may be. It is, and all of those exist and are, but as far as we connect as humans, we can just say that it may be, right? So, just wanted to talk a little bit about this, the idea of reality tunnel, the idea of maybe logic, the idea of not jumping to conclusions, saying, well, because of this, you must be that. This is a very dangerous, I think, time to judge people and categorize people, because there's a lot of people who have a variety of beliefs. And let's say that you have, let's say that you have a two-party system right now in this country that divides everything in half and also contradicts itself a lot, more than most, right? Like, For instance, let's take the idea of, and this is touchy, sure, but the idea of pro-life, right? And the idea of pro-choice. Now, this is true from one standpoint in this party, but this also believes in capital punishment. So that's not pro-life, is it? And this one does not believe in capital punishment. So it's taking one issue and splitting it down the middle. So each one is a contradiction within itself. And that's just one issue between two very large parties, okay? So let's not, for any reason, assume that because someone has this idea or that idea that they must be a fill in the blank. And they are that, right? Maybe they are. Maybe they are. But maybe you just need to think about our language a little bit. We all need to. And start to come from a place trying to understand the other person. And using words like, like defining things like, in my experience, I've experienced it thusly, right? Because truly every reality does exist on the other side of the metaphysical mirror or whatever, right? Infinity is real, okay? Now, we're living only in a part of it, and we can only access stuff that's close by, until we start to skew into some strange reality or what have you. But even still, even within that, understanding how many possibilities there are and what may be, and that our perception alters and is different because our reality tunnel or BS belief system varies so much from other people. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. My dude, Robert Anton Wilson, check him out. I've got a couple of videos on the 8th Circuit model of consciousness, which was Timothy Leary's contribution, but Robert Anton Wilson expounded upon it in Prometheus Rising. And the first page in that book is, what the thinker thinks, the prover proves. Guys, check me out on Patreon. I'm putting out a bunch of free stuff over there. I'm also just doing as much as I can. That's the only community that I'm affiliated with, at least at the moment. And, I am trying to engage as much as possible here. I'm trying to do a new video for Patreon with maybe some dance moves in it. I don't know. I'm going to do some exclusive podcasts. I've been doing exclusive podcasts on Patreon because there's stuff that I can talk about on Patreon that's maybe a little bit tougher to talk about on YouTube. And check me out also on Gumroad. I've got some guided meditations and things there. Most of that stuff is also free. So thank you so much for watching this video. Check me out on Patreon, and we'll see you next time.